Hey everybody, welcome to the Mayor Joe Taylor Show. Jeff Underwood, this guy right here is Jerry White. Hey sir.
Well, it's not very often. Let me get my microphone here.
Oh, well,
Yeah, get it. Let's get it.
I mean, what?
Microphone check, 1, 2. Good morning. Hey, this is not very often we get a guest on the Mayor Joe Taylor Show that, we've had a couple that has such, is held in such high regard as one City Council member, Clark Hopper. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank y'all.
Thanks for
Place
being here.
5.
Place five. Place five.
Yes.
Let's see
I don't understand.
Still
what
don't
the one with the
understand
broken
that.
chair, right?
I never say because I don't know who's where. What?
Yeah, I didn't know until last week, and they explained it to me that they're not in order.
Yeah, we're not.
They're not
we don't
sitting
sit
in
in
order.
order. We don't sit in order.
Which kind of throws me off. See,
Y'all don't think are?
no,
What?
Now, me and Jameson are because he's
They're in order,
495.
but they're
We're the
not-
only two that's in order.
yeah,
Where is
Anita
place
throws it off.
5?
The whole city. Now
Yeah.
we're not districts. If you're in districts, then you got a certain area that you cover. But we are at large, so we're places. So I serve everybody.
Some are larger than others.
Some are.
Good morning, Jameson.
Wow.
All right.
He just
This
can't
is
get a break on this
The
show.
Mayor Joe Taylor. Well, does he deserve a break?
No,
He really
no, he
does.
does not.
Yeah. Ever since the parking comment, just questioning
No, yeah,
the
kinda
driving
right.
ability of my mayor,
Exactly.
We're not doing that.
shot fired.
Not up in here.
You should probably. I mean, I heard that other important people in different cities have people drive them. I mean, could
Yeah, I'm
you?
not there yet.
Oh, that's,
No,
when you
every
get
now and then
important,
Camp will drive me like the Barones.
does he drive you in the back?
No, he won't let me get in the back because he said that's weird.
That's a photo op.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
Yeah.
That's a photo op. Do you wear your bulletproof? Yeah, that's a different show. We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that. So I'm gonna let you introduce your guest.
Yes.
Well,
Properly.
properly introduce him is Clark Hopper. He's our city council member of Place 5. Clark wouldn't say these things about himself, but Clark is a certified municipal official at the advanced level.
That's huge.
He's worked diligently in doing that. He sits on public safety board for the League of Municipalities, as well as he's on our library board. Golly, Clark. And then he sets, this is the latest thing that Clark Hopper's done. He achieved probably one of the highest things that you can have in municipal government, in that he's on the executive board of the National League of Cities. So he represents us nationwide. And it's one of about 44, is that right? 40 positions. And he goes and kind of speaks from that small town growing, that midtown growing
Heck yeah.
perspective, and does us a really, really good service. It puts our name on the map when you're at the National League of Cities in Washington, and we're doing advocacy work and those kind of things. It's good for people to know where Rainbow City is, and that's what he represents. And we appreciate him. Being on our library board is not easy, because right now that seems to be a very controversial thing. I mean, I think City of Fairhope just fired their librarian because of some books that had gotten out into the teenage popular books, and it caused a stir enough that the mayor relieved the librarian. So
We have another local person that Amy.
Yes.
She's fantastic,
Yeah,
by
she's
the way.
awesome. Amy
We
does
loved
it.
having her on the show.
yeah, she's actually on the state library board, which means that and she just brought Kirk Cameron into Rainbow City, and it was just a good opportunity for our kids to see someone that's been on television before, that's done big things. That was a little bit of a heartthrob back in the day, and he came and actually read a book to our kids,
That's huge.
and I thought it was great, But we appreciate Amy as well.
Yeah, no doubt. So, did you guys go? Was it Tampa this past year?
No,
You
well,
guys have
there
been
was
in
one
Tampa?
in Tampa. We
Okay.
didn't go to Tampa.
Okay.
We try to go to the one where we can set up our advocacy work. I set up meetings with all of our congressmen and senators, and we go up, and it's just prior to the release of the appropriations portal.
There you
Different
go.
portal than what you and I should be in. But
That's fair. That's fair.
it's a time for us to go up and just kind of peddle our wares and tell them what we have. If we have an emergency situation or something that is emerging, it gives us a chance to sit down with them and they set aside time, and we have really accepting congressmen and senators that
Heck
will
yeah.
take a minute with us and give us a chance to speak on what we have. But their staff members are incredible. We've grown close to them, while we're in D.C., and it gives us a chance to go up and talk about our city and talk about our needs, and we simply are up there asking for money to bring it back.
Can I have some more? We're not scared, right?
Yeah, that's right.
That's awesome. That is incredible.
Yeah, we're bold in our asking, that's for sure.
Well, you're also good stewards of what you do get. I think it's proven
fact.
itself over and over.
I think so. I think that we've done very well. I mentioned it last night. Terry John Calhoun, the previous mayor, is not doing well. He's having some really dire health problems. But I spoke when he and I ran for mayor back in 20 at the Rainbow Middle School.
Yeah.
And I said that Terry John had done us a good job and he had brought us to this point, and it was time for me to take it from here. And while a lot of people thought that was some kind of campaign jargon or whatever, it was really the truth, because Terry John did bring us to a really nice drop-off spot.
Sure.
And when he dropped us off there, he gave us an opportunity to be incredibly successful or absolute failures. And I do believe that we've been incredibly successful.
Without question. Without question.
So, top priorities, Councilman Hopper. Top priorities for you as a city councilman. Give us some things that you've been proud to be a part of in your tenure of serving,
Okay.
and then we'll move to what you're looking forward to.
I think the biggest thing, I'm on the planning committee, okay? And I volunteered for that. I went to the mayor and I said, I want to be on planning, okay? When I moved down here, I'm a West Side boy. So I graduated in Emerson in 1985. I grew up in the Mill Village, Knocklittle Mountain. So when I moved down here with my first wife in 1990, once we split, I stayed. I got the house and I stayed down here. And what I saw was Mayor Glidewell got us to a point, okay? And when we got to this point, one of the things that we didn't have was a downtown district. And that has drove me bonkers, because when I was a kid, we would come down here to Woolco. And, and Rainbow Plaza was the downtown for Rainbow City. And they kept it well kept. They kept it beautiful. They kept with beautiful shops. I'd like for us to get back to that. I'd like to see us expand with our restaurants, because what do we always hear? There's no restaurants to eat down here. There's no hotels for our beautiful soccer complex, which first thing he came to me about was asking me and Councilman Vice to serve overseeing the soccer complex.
Sure.
And so we got it back on track. When we came on board with that, they were indebted from COVID because of the way the law was written, and motel lodging and things like that, and Etowah County was to fund it. Wasn't there, so we had to go back and get a bond issue to get caught up on the payments and to complete it. And now I think it's a beautiful complex, don't you, Mayor?
Absolutely.
And hopefully we'll get to the next step where we'll be able to even gain more revenue from it when we maybe get some hotels and some better restaurants to keep the people to come here to play soccer here.
Yeah.
To get their tax dollars so we can continue on with our growth. Because once we first got there, I came to him, I said, hey, I've got a problem with this planning. And he said, well, what is it, Clark? I said, we're having too many lock and stockings. We're just not having enough other growth. You remember that? I come to him, I said, there's nothing wrong with it. People's got to store their stuff. I get that. I got 2 buildings myself, close to my house. But at the end of the day, I just don't want to be the lock and stocking capital of the South. I wanted to see other type of growth. And now we're starting to see that. We've got industries that's coming in. We've got, we're actually doing the water lines. That's going to help us with our growth. So that's what I like to see, is more highway commercial, so we can pick out a piece of property and get it to maybe where we can have a downtown district. Now, that's not an uncommon factor like the mayor was talking about with me on the National League of Cities. I'm also, with them, I'm on the legislative committee, which oversees what they're going to lobby in Washington, D.C. for on Congress, which this year was about housing and taxation and basically the freeze that the White House has got on money that's been dished out by the Congress that they've got froze while they're going through the audit, as I call it, to fix that. That's the main thing. But the thing is too, the housing was very, very sensitive to me. We talked about this before. As we get older as a generation, you know, people want to downsize, and housing, affordable housing for seniors, is so bad right now. There's just not there. People agree they build a piece of property because it costs so much to build a complex. I get that. They can't sit up here and rent to someone that's, you know, 50, 60, 70 years old and cannot sit up here and rent to them for $500 or $600, something they can afford on their Social Security. We forget them.
Sure.
We forget them. They're the ones who put us where we are today.
Sure.
That's our foundation.
Right.
That is the bottom level of the foundation. Is our responsibility to take care of them, and that's what we're failing to do. So those are some things that I think. I know we're getting a lot of 55 and over housing. I like to see a little bit older. You know, we did lobby for the one. I did actually lobby. You know, I think you were there when I did it. The first one that came was over here by 12th Street Baptist Church, and it was they were going to be 55 and over. And I raised my hand and I said, "Hey, I got a question." And they said, "Well, what's that?" "You're thinking 55 and old, or, you know, that's going to be a quiet senior type neighborhood?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, I'm 55. That means I can come in there right if Miss Christie kicks me out of the house today." And they said, "Well, yes, sir. So if Miss Christie kicks me out of the house," now this is example I use, Christie, don't be getting mad at me now. The thing here is I sit up here and I said to him, I said, "Look, I'm 55 years old. I'm not dead. So what you going to do when I come in there with a 20-year-old something with 2.3 kids or whatever, and then we're raising roof? Is that going to be satisfactory?" And they said, "Well, yeah."
Clark just used raising the roof.
He did. Raise a roof.
I said, "Now," I said, "is that going to be acceptable?"
Love it.
And they said, "Yeah, that's acceptable." I said, "Okay, the 70-year-old neighbor might not think that's acceptable." I said, "If you're going to have senior housing and you're going to go that direction and try to sell it, you need to be on Social Security." So they are now 62 and over.
Heck yeah. That's across from Jig.
We're
That's
right.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're 62 and over now just because of that one comment, and I was very proud of that.
Heck
They
yeah.
come back when they said that, and I thought, wow, you know, and I think that was it because I mean,
But all of the things that Clark's talking about in some form showed itself during our comprehensive planning.
Yes, it
And
did.
when we built that master plan,
It's
you know,
fantastic.
we
That's
found,
great.
yes, it is. And when we found out that we have this desperate need for senior housing,
Yes.
we know that we have an absolute need for subdivisions right now, and we have a few right now in the planning stages. But also, you know, our deal was with jobs. You know, we had to
Yes.
bring in jobs to hold our kids back here and get them to return after college or whenever they go off to learn a skill or trade. And we've been very successful in doing that. Just last night, we passed a piece of property over, sold a piece of property to S&D Metals that
Yep.
we talked about here on the show. And that's a chance for us to win over and develop 150 high-paying skilled labor jobs.
Yeah.
And that's the direction that we have to go in while we're doing about 100 other different things. And each one of those things we have to be laser focused on to make sure that we hit our target. You know, we can't miss. When we miss, I promise you, people are going to let us know.
Oh, yeah.
You'll hear that and see
think?
that on Facebook, and
Yeah,
you know, I
the
think there's a
keyboard
lot of people that believe that we control our social media. We do not. I don't take anything down off of mine. If you've got something bad to say to me, I even went to
You engage.
yeah, I do.
that's
I'm
right.
gonna get, you know, but you better be careful. You know,
Sure.
you better be telling the truth if you're going to say something bad about me, because I'm the only person that can defend my character. And you know, I'd hope that other people would step up and do that with me.
Well, there's no
Or-
question you're a character.
Well, there's no doubt about that. But I think that's the other thing
Yeah.
that Clark has always, from the very beginning, has been very engaged and very directed towards our schools and our kids,
Yeah.
and especially in that athletics. You know, we're not going to sit here and argue that Clark's a Rhodes Scholar, but
Nope.
he loves
Can't do
that
that.
sports now.
I do that.
I respect that.
And y'all have to understand now, we go on at each other continuously.
Shouldn't you?
I mean, there's times when we're in DC, and the Uber driver has to pull over on the side of the road, laughing so hard. Where we take a dig at everybody in the car, except Anita, because she can beat us all up.
There's no question.
true.
You want, that's a fight you don't want.
That's right.
Do not want. And you sit, but where you sit,
Yeah.
each side,
Yeah.
that's strategic.
Yeah.
It's the
There's
only
no-
two ladies that can keep Joe.
That's right.
Beverly, she has to wake up in the middle of the night. Jameson Jenkins,
Yeah.
Mary
Yeah.
Taylor.
Yeah.
You got
She,
to
she hears, would you take the role?
include me.
I'm going to bring Beth on this show because I'll tell
Oh
y'all,
my God.
if you're around Beth for about 15 minutes, you'll know everything there is to know about her.
That's awesome.
She's absolutely in control.
That's awesome.
And that's such a perfect position for her. She serves right now, again, as far as the representation of
Oh, yeah.
of
Get that.
Rainbow City. She's the president of the Municipal Clerks Association for the state of Alabama, and just does a wonderful job doing that. So that little bit of time that she takes away from being at Rainbow City at City Hall
Yeah.
returns us so much value because she gets to go out and see the problems and the successes of other cities and bring those back for us to share in that.
Talk about just another feather in the hat of Rainbow City.
Yeah.
Really, no doubt
I mean,
about that.
That's crazy.
You got folks jumping on your cohort, Mr. Vice.
Oh, Lord, there we
Says,
go.
Joe, don't miss. Jameson Jenkins, obviously, is the man of the hour every time Mayor Taylor is here. He gets made fun of. He says Chopper.
Yeah.
Yes,
He
sir.
says
Yeah.
ask JT about March Madness.
Yeah.
So is there something we need to know about March Madness?
Yeah, we went. Jameson and a group of his deputy friends, they go to Tunica, Mississippi
He said that was
for
some
March
resentment,
Madness.
didn't he?
Yeah.
And look, I'm very allergic to smoke. Like I don't
Yeah,
deal
I'm with you.
And I mean, 25 years as a firefighter, I'll tell you how I handled it. I wore my mask the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
But they decided they were going to get me and a friend of mine, it's one of my business partners, to come down there with them. So we go down there, and by the time we got there, they'd lost everything they owned. I mean, their bracket was destroyed. I mean, I think we were down to 1,100 brackets out of 24 million, and the next day it was 121. I mean, it was just on its way to zero. But we did have a great time. I got on a little tear down there because I'm not a gambler. You know, I believe in a sure bet. You know,
Bet on Rainbow City.
that's right. I bet on Rainbow City, and if I tell you I can jump in the back of a pickup truck without any help, you know, just understand that I've got rockets in my boots. I mean, I'm a
Gonna
sure
happen.
sure bet guy. But I did get down there and win a little bit of money. I won a little lunch money, and of course I made the horrible mistake of telling Rachel before I left her, I kissed her goodbye, and I said, "Hey, I said whatever I win, I'm bringing it back to you." She never forgot that, y'all.
I bet
Did you think she would?
No, I did not. But boy, when I said it, I just thought, you know, it's just a little passing glance. I'm on my way, but we had a great time. His friends are just such good guys, and they accepted Brandon and I, and we had a good time. We had a really good time.
Somebody asked, did he have to pawn his badge? I think it's illegal.
No, he didn't pawn his badge, but I'll tell you, you know, Jameson's tight, y'all. I mean, like he squeaks when he walks, and I think he probably held him a couple hundred back, you know. And,
Sure.
and on the day that we left early, and they stayed another day. But he sends me a picture of a ticket where he'd won $1,100, and I thought, wait a minute, I thought you said you spent all your money. See, he holds out, and so he held out. He won him about 11 bills, and then he was ready to come home.
No doubt.
I think he was afraid that you would tell him since he won, he owed you lunch or something.
Well,
like
now he
that.
knows that. If he started buying my lunch for the times I bought his right now, you know, I'd be dead and gone by the time he still wouldn't be
There'll
paying.
come a point he'll be buying Joe Insure.
Yeah, just buy me a case of insurance. I can't believe he didn't say that. Just
God, that's great.
My goodness.
but I think that
Well,
Clark
what-
and Jameson and Jeff and Anita and Randy would
such
all
a-
say, you know, we have such a great relationship,
Yes.
and the ability to rag on each other
Sure.
is critical because we are doing a lot of very, very serious work.
Mm-hmm.
And there's times when you have to step away from that seriousness and say, hey, you know, how are you? You know, you heard it last night in the closing comments just of how they are embracing Bevan and Jeff Prince, that her dad had a stroke yesterday and is down in Brookwood right now and had some, having procedures and trying to correct some of that potential damage and we love the people that we work with. We love the associates that work with us and for us, and it's just if we didn't have that, I promise you, I wouldn't have anything to do with this at all. I would go on my way.
Yeah, it was a blessing. It's been a blessing how we all blended in like a blended family. I've said that several times. And it's like the mayor's talking about with Prince. And I say Bevan was a year ahead of me. Her sister Tiffany's a year behind me. And they live one street behind me. So I know James. And he's a wonderful man. And I wish him all the recovery. And
No doubt. Our thoughts and prayers definitely go out to
Yes,
those guys.
absolutely.
Yeah.
100.
For sure. And we've talked about this before. It's such a strong city council right now. But election season is upon us.
It is.
So now it's going to be, are people going to try to re-win their seat? Are they going to hang it up, move on? What say you, Clark Hopper?
Well, I've been more than happy to make an official announcement today on your show.
Hey!
Wait a minute, man, we're gonna miss you, Clark.
I see you trying to get rid of me already.
So good.
I will be seeking another term.
Okay.
And place 5, I will be hitting the ground running. I got an opponent, same opponent I had in 2020, but I'm gonna hit the ground running. I do grassroots. I don't sit on my hands. The mayor will tell you that. I work hard, and this is actually my favorite part of the election is going door to door. So I will be going door to door, probably 10 to 4, because I want people to have their family time. Don't want to wake them up. I want to enjoy their mornings, especially if they do their spirituals, their 15 minutes with God like I do, and then you go and have breakfast and about 10 to about 4. That way, maybe when you come home, you may be tired or, and spend time with your children, because I'm very family oriented because I got 6 grandkids. I've got 3 boys. And stuff like that. But yes, I will be seeking re-election, and I will be trying to come to as many doors as I can this summer. Of course, I do know I'll be having traveled some for the League of Cities. I'll be going to Columbus, Ohio, for a couple of days, and then if re-elected, I'll be going to Salt Lake City, like you was talking about Tampa a minute ago.
Yeah.
And I'll be going to traveling to Salt Lake City.
Talk about
for
a
that.
great city, Salt Lake.
And
I can hit a golf ball a long way in Salt Lake.
Thin air.
Mobile, not so much.
That's what.
But we'll have conventions there, and of course, I plan on paying those 2 out of my pocket.
He's relatable.
Yeah, very much so.
Look, man, we're excited you chose this show to make an official announcement. That's
Well, when the mayor asked me, I thought, well, what was a better time? Why not? I mean, it's easier. You've got great followers. They're gonna be here. I'll be making an announcement later this afternoon, I'm sure, on the Facebook, and I'll start getting everything set up because I gotta get my signs back out, dust them off, and paint re-elect on them.
re-elect. That's a good sign, right? Re-elect. Isn't it good though, seriously, that there's people that want to take your seat? As far as the city standpoint, everything's going so good, and
I'll
it's a
tell you my
desirable
opinion
seat.
on that. I'm glad that there was a guy that mentioned running for office in another city. He wasn't in our city, and he told me, he said, and they're not doing well, and he started giving all the reasons why he wanted to run, and then I had a chance to speak to somebody that actually said that in the future they would eventually like to be a council member or whatever in Rainbow City, and their description of that was they wanted to be on a winning team. They wanted to be a part of something great. They wanted to be a part of something that was going well.
Sure.
And they didn't disparage anybody that was on the council. Their intent was, I would love to do what y'all are doing. But I will say this, and I think Clark would tell this too. Clark is a campaigner. He loves the campaign. And and when we came into office, our first meeting, maybe our second meeting, I had to really kind of get down in the dirt with them a little bit and say, okay, stop campaigning. Now we got to go to work.
Yeah.
And if we don't accomplish these things, and Clark may be the pushiest city council member that we have. He knows that. He knows that he's pushing against a brick wall 90% of the time. Yeah. But one of the things that Clark, and I'll leave it to him to say, but he had one thing that he wanted to see for this city.
Yeah. New high school?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Rainbow
But,
City Rebels?
But he was Hey, that's not bad.
That's not bad.
But he
could get behind
he
that.
really spent a lot of time looking into this, researching it, bringing me material and all that, and I just kept having to say over and over again, Clark, it's not time. We don't have the money. We're not ready for this quite yet. And I'll let you pick it up, Clark.
And it's going to be a splash pad.
Oh.
You know, that's one of the things some of the people talk about. I'm very big about having things for our children and about going outdoors. We don't have that big park. You know, like you maybe say, probably one of the closest things we got around here is the falls. Okay, where you can go out there and you can have a pavilion, you can have cookouts, you got a playground, you got those things. But we kind of get away from the things we kind of grew up with. You know, I grew up in Alabama City, had a pool across the street from the school. It's now, what is it? A lock and stock building. Okay.
Yeah.
And it was still open when I started my career in law enforcement at Gadsden. And, but you know, we got the idea of running for a splash pad because we had the walking trail and we had the property that we started thinking about developing. I brought it to him, wouldn't it not be great to have something like that out there by the soccer field? That's how it really got started. And it fell into our plan when they come talk to us. You know, they said it was wonderful, and the mayor took with it and run with it. He actually kept it close to his vest and kept it hidden from me.
I never told anyone.
Never told nobody until he come out here and told us about the new rec center that we're building.
Heck yeah.
And I just, okay, we're having a rec center. We're going to have basketball courts. We're going to have an outdoor pool. Okay. Then all of a sudden, with a big grin on, looking at me, he said, "We're going to build your splash pad." And I don't know if I was very emotional because, you know, I think children and parents today with these 12-hour shifts, I've said this 1,000 times, I think the 12-hour shift is the worst thing on the American family because the kids get left behind because of work. Parents want to be selfish, they want off every other weekend. I get that. When I started in law enforcement, we rolled, and then we got a chief that come in here and gave us set off days. Okay, I was off in the middle of the week, and during the winter months with my son, you know, that was hard because I mean, my 2 off days, he was in school. During the summer, we'd go to Six Flags on my 2 off days. You know, I bought season pass. We go you could afford to drive back and forth then.
Sure.
And but it's just about getting outdoors. You're starting to see sports get affected by that. You know, the Coosa Little League was just asking the other day for additional 12-year-olds. Travel ball has taken that away because it fits more into the 12-hour existence more than the 8 hours. And I know there's probably going to be a lot of people saying, well, don't take my weekends away from me. And I'm not, because I can't. But from someone who's done both, give me the 8 hours every time. But to get back to what we're talking about, the splash pad, I'm so excited about that because not only is it a campaign promise fulfilled,
Excuse me.
thanks to his leadership,
Sure.
and what we have done as a team, that children from this point over, from now on, whether I get reelected or I serve I know exactly when I'm gonna hang it up. You know, if the people in Rainbow City want me. You know, and it's not terms, it's age. When I'm 65, I'm done. It's time for somebody younger to come along. Okay? So with that being the case, that'll be something that my grandkids can enjoy starting next summer because they're from 5th grade to fixed to be in kindergarten. So that'll be something they're going to get to enjoy. And I think it's just a great thing.
Can he be the first one in the pad? Can you make that?
I think we have to do
That
that.
has to happen.
Especially the one that like dumps a lot of water.
Absolutely. It has to be. It has
That needs to be clear.
no question.
So wait, we're having the bucket? That's going to be a part?
We've got something, I can't
on.
remember what it's called.
Heck yeah.
But this splash pad is really, really nice. We're also putting in about a $500,000 playground. And so this playground is ADA compliant. It allows
That's for
kids
Jameson.
to go out. Yes, it allows for kids to go out that have special needs and that are wheelchair bound even.
That's
And
awesome.
be able to get
Heck
onto
yeah.
a carousel.
Heck
and
yeah.
everything's zero entrance for that. And we looked at all of that, and we talked about Beth Lee and my staff. You know, a big part of those choices, they don't come from the council and the mayor. They come from our staff that have children and grandchildren, and I bring those people together. I don't want to call it a focus group, but that's what they call it now.
Sure.
And we just put those ideas together. They, you know, the associates that are going to work there have picked the colors for the inside of that place with my help and with the help of a decorator. And we're looking at taking what is theirs and letting it start out being theirs versus it being what my idea or Clark's idea is, and just transferring it over to them and telling them. I don't believe in there's ever a good idea to shove something down somebody's throat, and we try not to do that. But Clark did mention one other thing that I don't think he finished up on, and that was about Stockett and Lockett buildings. You know, he did come to me and say, hey, we got to do something here. I really didn't expect that from a council member, quite honestly.
Yeah.
But Anita Bedwell had mentioned it too. And as I started seeing that consensus, you know, I then have to go to our city attorney and say, hey, how do I eliminate this? Well, we were able to change an ordinance and actually change and put a moratorium on people that were putting it in certain zoning areas. So we moved it to a different zone. So it's classified differently. And now you won't see those on road frontage.
Yeah.
Now you'll see them on second tier. You'll see them in manufacturing 1 zoning. But it was just because we were afraid over time we could end up, they're fast built, they're good money, they're great investment, and they will starve you of road frontage. And there's nobody going to sell a moneymaker, you know, when somebody else wants to come to town to put in a quick service restaurant or a sit down or a retail establishment. So we knew we had to move those things off of our road front, or we were just going to look like a warehouse district.
Now, can we get the price lowered?
Got to get that done.
Because I've had my 6 years. I don't even know what's in it.
Yeah.
I don't know what, you know,
Well,
it's
yeah,
coming out. And,
I think everybody does that. You know, I had to finally go to Oaks Bluff and take everything that was in there, carry it to the dumpster, and throw it away. And I left with like a garbage bag full of stuff.
I think what's going to happen, I'm going to call Fully Loaded and say, I'm going to need you to drop one over
Drop
my
me one,
stores,
yep.
and unless you handle business to get out of
That's
that.
right.
Yeah, call Nick.
When I first started, it was $45, and it's pretty large. Now it's $120. What happened?
There's money in those things.
They really are. I mean, that's not mine. The first one I ever had was to put my political signs in.
Yeah.
Well, that's on the back end of it. The front end is all the grandkid stuff. They're mobile cars, they're bicycles.
So you're going to have to move stuff.
I
Yeah,
got
in there.
hey, I'm gonna have to do a spring cleaning just to get to my sign.
that don't seem right.
It's a win-win.
Somebody had mentioned in the comments about is there plans for a miracle field? I guess they're referring to like Oxford, the special needs,
Yeah.
Well,
Little League field, something like that.
Let me say it this way, because last night we actually passed the preliminary paperwork resolution for a bond,
Yeah.
and that bond is going to be it's going to be somewhere around $7.5 million, but that is to convert all of our fields that we currently have right now, which would be 5 at Vivian Maddox, all of those baseball, a softball field and a baseball field at the rec center, and then also the soccer field and track to be totally redone at Rainbow Middle School. All of that's about $6.2 million, and then with some lighting, it's about $6.7 million. And we're going to convert all of those so that we can practice and play. Our biggest struggle right now, and it's constant, and people come to me, we need practice fields,
Yeah.
okay? I can build you a practice field, but it's going to be $150,000. You got to wait until we have that extra money. We can do this, do everything, refurbish all of our locations, new fencing, new nets, new dugouts, everything, and do it one time and get it over with. And we'll do that over this summer. We've got a big building contract that's coming in, and we'll get all of that done. Now, at the end of that, everything about our Parks and Recreation will be refurbished. Now, I say, people can say, well, it seems like all you're doing is doing Parks and Recreation. Let me say this. The number one economic development driver in the state of Alabama and this country, actually this region, is outdoor living and parks and recreation.
Sure.
That's how you get jobs. That's how you get businesses. And I'm not talking about quick service, fast food. I'm talking about manufacturers will not locate in your city if we don't have great outdoor space and recreation for their kids and great education for their kids. That's why it's so critical that we support Rainbow Middle School and John Jones
Sure.
and Southside High School. And we do all of those things. And we do those in what I consider a mighty way. And that's thanks to a council that's not selfish in saying, well, Southside's in Southside. No, that's not how we see things.
Oh,
we
you guys partner so well with.
We partner very well with Dana Snyder and her council over there, and just knowing that that's our job is to take care of those things. But to answer that question, we're not doing a miracle field because Gadsden has one. And if you look at the use of a miracle field, it's
Limited.
it's very limited. And you know, and for us at our size, we don't have that disposable amount of income because miracle field costs you about 3 times what a turf field will cost, and a turf field is about $800,000 a field.
Well, also,
To do a full conversion, yeah, it's
you know, I
it's
also
expensive.
read that something that's really good to help bring businesses in that area is a Milo's.
Yes,
I read that somewhere. Could have
I vote
been.
yes.
It could have been off a post that I made, but I read it.
yeah, sure.
Matter of
Well,
fact,
sorry. I'm
matter of
trying.
fact, when
Trying, Joe.
when we first come to office, I come to the mayor and I said, "Hey, if we get restaurants, here's my first 3 choices: a Cookout, Whataburger, and a Milo's. Not necessarily in an order. It's really Cookout, Milo's, and Whataburger. You know, because we discovered Cookout when my son, my oldest boy,
Jacksonville?
Christian, was in Goose Creek, South Carolina,
Oh.
at Nuke School when he was in the Navy. He introduces us to that thing, and I just ate one in Gaston Sunday because my grandkids ain't never tried it before. My son that's at Gaston Police Department now, his children never ate there, and I said, that boy ain't raising you right.
You know, I would take away the Whataburger in a minute and add a Culver's.
All day
Oh
long.
yes, now that is true.
Not even close.
All day long.
And you're right, because he's the one who got me to try one. I mean, the
No
fact-
disrespect to
Yeah.
Whataburger. Their
You're
onion
gonna
rings
hate,
top
yeah.
notch.
Much as he
No
advertises.
I'm a milkshake. It's about the milkshake. I like the old school milkshake.
brings all the garnish.
Is it real ice cream though? Like hand dip? They put it in
It's
and they
custard.
Oh, it's custard. No,
Made custard,
Dude,
and
hey,
it's different.
it's-
I promise you,
is it?
It is.
it's so good.
I tried to.
And
talk
they
my
just
wife
kind of
into
stopped the
doing that.
conversation, didn't it? We thought we were thinking.
Now we're hungry.
Just change
This
it.
group of 4?
It's lunchtime now.
How about this for a doctor? My doctor just texted me, "Hey, I sent your medicine, and did you get it?" That's service.
That
There you
is
go.
service.
That's
Well, especially after you counseled him yesterday. You should be a psychiatrist.
that was a great meeting.
Yeah, I guess
It's
so.
a great meeting.
Let me ask this question, getting back real quick. And this is a question I wrote down. I want to know this. What's been the most rewarding? I want it to be for both of you. What's been the most rewarding thing to you about serving the people of Rainbow City? We'll start with you, Councilman Robert.
I think for me, I just retired. So I spent
Congratulations.
36 years in law enforcement. And I think the biggest thing for me is having that ability to listen to people, you know, and try to help them with their problems. Because there's no problem too big, too little, you know. And the mayor's heard me say this before. I'm the voice of the common man. And it's not being cocky. It's just the fact being, I'll talk to anybody. My wife will tell you that. Matter of fact, when Winn-Dixie was in Winn-Dixie, she would not go to Winn-Dixie with me because that's where most Rainbow Cityans
Sure.
go buy their groceries. So I'm going to get cornered up in there for hours. Now, she'll go to Publix with me because, you know, there's a lot of transits coming there from all over the county in there, so they don't know me as well. But I think the biggest thing for me, the most satisfactory, is when I do have these conversations with people and we get those attaboys and they're not asking for nothing. Sometimes you'll get an attaboy, but we could use a new street light. But we could do, and I was fair warned because what a lot of people know and don't know is my grandfather was a politician. He was actually a street commissioner in the city of Gaston in the late 60s. Matter of fact, when Steve Means won in 1974, he beat my grandfather for this first term in office. And so he's the one who actually kind of pushed me into
So it's
this.
your grandfather's fault.
It's my grandfather's
Oh, okay,
fault.
okay.
And matter of fact, the Alabama City Library is named in his honor. He's
That's
Hoyt
awesome.
Warshall.
Yeah, heck yeah.
And now, of course, Gaston now with their upgrading, okay, they're tearing down a lot of the buildings that he helped build, like the convention centers, you know, and all
That
that.
stung a lot of people.
Yeah,
when
and
that came down.
I get the trend, but I think
Sure.
for me, what hurt was those plaques seeing my grandfather's name on there. You know, as a commissioner, with Les Gillian as the mayor. You know, and whether it was Tony Reynolds or whoever before Tony Reynolds was on there. Because, you know, Gaston went to the council form of government in 1986, and I got hired by the police department in 1988. So I was actually part of that first nightmare transition era. And that's exactly what it was.
That's the official name.
Yeah, and
Not-
that
The
was-
nightmare.
I mean, it was. I mean, it was. I'm listening to the older guys because I mean, there's been a hopper at the gas police department 54 years, and all that. So we kind of getting back to what your question originally started as you know, that ability to do that and listen to people and not being asked for nothing, but just generally, hey, we appreciate this, and that's to me is the most satisfying part of this. Is we can build all that. We can do the brick and mortar. We can build things like we just got through talking about. Somewhere down the line, 100 years from now, they're not going to know who we are. They're going to tear the stuff down and they're going to move on to new business. But it's these conversations today that just excites me the most.
I just got a comment that the sound is getting a little distorted from another council member here.
That's interesting.
Or he's just taking a jab at you.
Probably are.
Yeah.
Probably are. Because if my wife was on here, she'd probably say, at least I ain't sounding like Andy Griffith season 1.
I like Andy Griffith.
I do
season
too.
one.
I
It's a
do
great
too.
show.
But, you know,
So let me say this: as I get a vote in Rainbow City, believe it or not, Joe hadn't kicked me out yet.
Well, that's
So
good.
I'm still here. So, and I'm going to ask you a question in a second, but I made a comment. I made a post this past week about how cool it was seeing the public works raining outside. I'm doing my devotionals. I'm drinking coffee. It's raining outside. Hey, what's that noise? The truck out there picking my limbs up in the rain. And you mentioned it. That's a premium service
Yeah.
It
that
is.
Rainbow City gets. Premium service.
There's not a lot of people doing that haven't
anymore. That's correct.
stopped and started back. You know, and
Yeah.
I think it's just the outcry of the citizenry. But I think to answer the question that Jeff asked, you know, mine is that, you know, I'm a total outsider from Rainbow City. I lived in Gadsden, you know, born and bred, and what education I have came from there. But
We get that.
mine's the actually becoming a part of a true community. You know, the city of Gadsden's big. It's very fragmented based on being east side, west side, mountain, South Gadsden, Flatwoods. You know, and you know, down here everybody's just a part of Rainbow City, and
That's
and
true.
you-
Good
and,
point.
and the appreciation of this community for their elected official is incredible. You know, people continually send me instant messages and text messages saying, just got one yesterday from Jeff, not to call him out, but just saying, hey, let Jeff Prince and his family know that if they need anything to call on us. That's not normal, y'all. I promise you, if you talk to other mayors all over the state, and I do, they're not getting that community involvement and appreciation from the people that put them in office. They're just not. And I think that what we've been able to do is come out and be very forthright, very truthful, and say there's certain things you're going to have to wait on. We're not ready yet, you know. And in that, we've seen our revenue double here since we've been in office. Some of that is organic growth, no doubt. Some of that is good leadership, good fiduciary responsibility.
Amen.
And I think that over time, you'll continue to see that Rainbow City is not going to turn back. It's not Mayberry any longer. It's not going back to be Mayberry. But it is our charge, absolutely, to make this the best place in the world to live. Now, that can be done, but it takes it takes some pain along the way. And one of the things is that having a community that supports our police and fire, having a community that looks out when they're drinking their coffee and says, hey, they're out there picking up my limbs. You know, thanking our workers when they're at the Maverick getting their snack time every day. You know, understanding what Kenneth Payne means to this city. All of those things are incredible. We had every year, Riddles Bend Baptist Church does a beans and greens for our employees. And every one of our employees go down there. They know it's fine for them to go down in their trucks and cars and do their thing. And everybody kind of goes to that place and has a moment where people pray for them and love them and
awesome.
take care of them.
Heck yeah.
And you know, that's not usual. That's not the norm.
You see Jameson?
I did.
Great. He said, lots of character building on our council. My skin is leather.
Yes, I beat on that kid for a long time, and I'll continue to do that until he's
And we will.
where I need him to be. Yeah.
So last question for me, Mr. Hopper, as I'm going to give you an opportunity to earn some votes here. Why should myself or anyone else who lives in Rainbow City, why should we vote for Mr. Clark Hopper?
Well, first and foremost, beyond a shout out, and I think the mayor will tell you this, you call me with a problem, and he's going to hear it. Okay? You know, when that's the biggest thing is communication. When you have somebody who will communicate with the people, the voters, I don't care if you're a registered voter or not, you live here. Okay, that's one thing a lot of people don't understand. We've got a lot more people live here than are registered voters. And we're not talking children, we're talking about the grown adults. Some, for whatever reason, they haven't changed their voting status. So I'm gonna listen to everybody. I'm not gonna ask you, do you vote for me? Can you vote for me? Or will you vote for me? You got a problem, you need straight line and say, hey, Mayor, you know, Hardwood Avenue or Rainbow Haven, you know, they may need a street light, you know, or they may need a dead end road sign. You know, we will take care of the small problems because we're going to worry about local. I'm not worried about what's happening in Washington D.C. I'm not worried about what happened on Fox. That's not Rainbow City's problem. Rainbow City's problem is Rainbow City. And so that's the only thing I can do is straight talk. If you got a problem, I'm gonna give you a straight answer. Might not be what you want to hear, but you know,
We've heard that about you.
You know, I mean, that's the thing about me. It is. I'm not gonna.
But let me say this to you. Now Clark comes off. He's got 30 years of being a cop.
Yeah.
And that all comes out as being really, really harsh. He's just a big old teddy bear.
Now that's me.
The truth is, somebody calls and says that they've got a concern. Clark doesn't, you know, it sounds like he calls me and goes, by God, this is
No,
great."
that's true. That's true.
That is not the way he delivers that to me.
Is that why you don't answer my phone calls? He don't never answer.
But
I
that's what we get from all our council members.
Right.
It's, hey, do you know about?
Yes,
and
that's
they
true.
now
That's true.
have gotten to the point where they'll say, hey, do you know about this? Because most of the time, by the time it got to them, everybody's going to make 2 phone calls, one to me and one to a council member that they know. And I love that about the at-large election.
Yeah.
That, you know, he's not just for the people that live down around the bend in Canoe Creek. He has to be for everybody in this city.
Exactly.
And that puts him, you know, that puts that charge to him that, you know, he better be looking out for his people all the time.
Okay.
And the other thing that Clark said, and he does as well, and it took a minute now, when, you know, because all of us except one were first time in office. And the first thing that I learned going into office, because of people that were already in the building with me, being full time as a mayor, was that, hey, the campaigning's over. You know, I had some other elected officials that said, okay, now you got to get to work. You got to get this done. And it took a few months for 2 things. Number 1 was to keep your mouth shut about things that cannot be spoken about. And number 2, stop campaigning and go to work. And I'm telling you, that council that we have did that, and they did that in a really mighty way, because they have an understanding now that we absolutely work for the 10,191 that are in this city at the last census.
Right.
Those are who we work for.
Right.
We don't work for the 2,800 or 3,000 that elected us. We work for every single person here, and we work for the people that come in here to work every day and come in here at night to work.
That's great.
It's our job to look out for everyone's needs, and that's first and foremost in safety. And the second thing is in city services, and whether that's provided through Parks and Recreation or provided through library signs. You know, it's our job to make sure that everyone is met at their level, at their need.
Love it.
I love the comment. You see what Culver said? He says, Tony, it looks easy when Michael Jordan plays basketball. And then he goes on to say, it looks easy when Joe Taylor's the mayor.
That's true.
Tony told me that years and years
Love
ago in business. He's one of my best friends in the world.
Good dude.
And he's just he's a good man.
Yeah.
And he works at Gaston Fire, and there was something that came up, and I remember him saying, you know, Joe, the reason they don't like you is because you make it look easy. And you know, and that was probably the greatest compliment that anybody had ever paid me, was to say that. And he made the reference to Michael Jordan, which I don't have that for sure. I got no vertical leap anymore. My agility's gone, but he did make that statement, and I think that's probably what we need to strive for, is to be the person that makes it look easy, because that means that we're probably doing all the right things. And I'm not saying that I am, but I promise you that guy believes that I am.
Well, and I believe that guy.
Well, and I'll say this. I didn't know the mayor. We both worked at Gaston for 20 plus years. He worked, I did work downtown, but you know, if I was in a patrol car and we was fighting a fire, I'm guarding the hose, make sure nobody runs over them, you know, and dealing with traffic while they're fighting the fire. or if I was working crimes against persons, if they were on the scene, I'm wrapped up in the crime, not that. But I will say this: everything everybody told me when I was campaigning 2020 about Joe Taylor was absolutely true. They said it. You will love working around him. He's got the Midas touch. Everything he touches is golden. And I've heard that from Lane Keener and all the police guys that worked with him and around him and stuff like that. And I just have to say, he knows I don't suck up, but I will say this.
Get in
I'll
there
tell
one
you.
time. It won't hurt.
Please just pucker up.
No.
Get that Burt's Beeswax on your lips.
I can't do that. That goes against my whole 57 years of my living.
So here's what I heard of that story.
Yeah.
Here's what I heard.
What's that?
When
Clark loves me.
well,
I do.
no, when Clark was working the overnight shift and Joe was sleeping.
Yeah. Well, this is what I
Now,
tell.
wait a minute. I didn't say I wouldn't sleep either. Now, I scored my shit I was on.
It's what I tell. It's what I tell every police officer. They were 5 points away. from being
Almost,
fired.
they almost ran over the
That's all it
nail.
was.
I said last thing, but I have to throw this out. One of the sponsors, Clinic 5,
Yeah.
they just started their new podcast.
Oh, wow.
Great.
They just did the little intro
Yeah.
promoting it today.
Yeah.
So go to their page. It's going to be stinking awesome. Is it the first 4 days?
I think
first
that's right.
5 days,
First
something
5
like
days,
that.
right? Yeah.
That's a pretty special program they got going over
They're
there.
a great Rainbow City partner.
Yeah.
I mean,
Great people.
Trent and his construction
Who?
business is
Trent? I
roll
don't-
off. Yeah, we
Never
know.
heard of it.
It's the guy that's married to Jenny.
that guy.
Nobody will ever figure that out. But
Cash makes a difference.
bad.
It's a fact.
It's got to be something, or just feeling sorry for somebody. But no, Jenny and
Let's ask your
the
wife.
Thrasher family has just been.
I was thinking the same thing.
They've been such a strong force for Rainbow City, and they love this place.
Yeah.
And we
Good
appreciate
on them.
them.
Go,
Yeah.
go follow that podcast. It's going to be pretty special. It's a ministry, it really is.
Yep.
That's all I got.
City Councilman Clark Hopper asking for your vote, place 5, Rainbow City. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you
Appreciate
so
being
much.
here.
And Mayor Joe Taylor.